Hi, I'm back. Sorry, still getting things set up. I normally so the desk that I'm at is actually also my work desk during the week. So a lot of times during the week, I'll kind of scoot all of this back to get it out of my way. So then when it comes time to stream again on the weekends or whatnot, I have to like get everything set back up. So hopefully everything is good. Hopefully my sound is good. I think it should be. And I hope you all are doing well. I hope you've had a lovely week. I am Moxie, if you haven't been to the stream before. And Star Grace, hi, I see you. Thanks so much for stopping by. So yeah, I'm still kind of getting used to the whole streaming thing. I've only been doing this for like a week. I think this is like my 5th episode. So yeah, just kind of doing something. I figure I'm gonna be knitting anyway, and talking about different stuff to different people. So I may as well throw a stream on and do it as well. So yeah, that's what I've been up to lately. My ADHD kicks in. I'm like, ooh, new project. Let's go do this, and we just see how it goes. So, anyways, yeah, I've been working on this cardigan this week. It's actually knitting up somewhat quickly because it's worsted weight yarn, so it's actually knitting up pretty quickly. So the yarn is called the Leith Cardigan by the Creabea or Rebecca Clow, and there's a picture up there in the opposite corner of what it's gonna look like. That's her picture of it. Of course, as you can see, the colors that I'm using are completely different. I'll show you my little mock-up of what it's kind of going to look like. So it's going to look like that. Not as many stripes. I think it's going to be like 10 stripes from the hem to the shoulder. But that's kind of what I'm going for. So like the sleeves and the front and the back will like alternate colors going across. This totally was not a project that I was thinking about knitting, really. I was in a local bookstore. Actually, we have it's a local bookstore and yarn store. It's called Bonfire. And they have books and yarn, and it's like the best place ever, right? So I was in there looking around, and they had this Malabrigo Rios, and they had these 3 colors. And I was like, those 3 colors would be really pretty together. And so then I hit Ravelry and started looking for a project to make. And when I saw that stripy sweater, I was like, yeah, we could totally do that and just alternate the stripes going across. So I got the yarn. I'm hoping I got the right amount, because the pattern itself, when it's like recommending amounts, like it gives you a total amount of yarn for the project. So like, yeah, it's an amazing shop. Like, it is so cute and so cozy. And the owner is just really fantastic. She used to run an environmental group in our area. And then she decided to retire from that. And she opened up this like book and yarn store. And she hosts knit nights. She hosts like crochet classes and all different kinds of classes. And then in the very back of the shop, they set up this little stage area. And so I think it's like once a month, they hold, I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's called like the Bonfire Review or the Matchstick Review or something like that. And so it's basically an open mic night where people can just come over and do whatever they want to do. Like, they can juggle, they can sing, they can recite poetry, they can, whatever crazy talent that they have, they can show off. She's like, no fire breathing or knife throwing, anything that's going to be like, a liability. But other than that, like, whatever you want to do, you can totally do. The fire starter review, that's what it's called. Anyways, so yeah. And so she, in these days, you kind of wonder, it's like, how can somebody open a bookstore, like a small independent bookstore, small independent yarn store, and actually make it? She has really positioned her store as not just a bookstore, not just a yarn store, but as a community gathering place. She has like little areas where like people can like meet up to do different things or whatever. And so it's almost like a little community center in a way. And I think it's something that overall, like, our society needs a lot more of, and she's doing really well with it. And yeah, it's an amazing store. Anyways, I saw this. It's Malabrigo Rios, which is like their worsted weight yarn. And the pattern was like, I think for my size, I think it said it needed like 1,800 yards. And each Malabrigo Rios comes in like 200 yard skeins. And so then it was like, okay, how do you divide up the stripes? Because the pattern itself doesn't necessarily, like, it shows you how to do like this stripe pattern, but then also shows you how to do a bunch of other stripe patterns. So you just have to kind of figure out in your head roughly how much you need for each color based upon the stripe distribution. So I ended up getting 5 skeins of the gray because it's going to be my main color. And then I got 2 skeins of the pink and 2 skeins of the green. Hopefully that's enough. I think if I have to get more, I don't think it'll be a huge deal, but hopefully that'll work out. So yeah, and then you just have to figure out like how large you want your stripes to be. I did some math based upon the measurements in the schematic, and I decided to do 2-inch stripes. The ribbing is 2 inches, and then I'm just doing 2-inch stripes going all the way up. And so then this is the back. This is basically, it's knit all like in the round. Of course, it's a cardigan, so it's knit flat basically. But this is the bottom. This is the back center where the stripes will alternate, and it just continues on over here. And I think I've got one last row before I switch colors. So I just need to get this done. I can get everything organized here. I work from home, so the nice thing is, like, in between, well, sometimes when I'm on meetings, depending on if I have to actually talk or how involved I am. But a lot of times I will be knitting if I'm not like actively working like a troubleshooting thing, or if I'm not actively configuring or designing something. So it gives me time to be able to knit, which is nice. So Star Grace, I hope you're doing well. It's been a minute. We are actually getting ready so it's July. We're actually getting ready for Shenandoah Fiber Festival, which is in September. And that's the festival where I got your drop spindle at a few years back. I've been going back every year since then, and it is so much fun. It's a really good festival. I was actually going to be volunteering with them, but my schedule is just too crazy. And as it turns out, it also happens around the same time as my husband and our anniversary, and we have a trip planned around that time. I'll be back in town in time for the Fiber Festival, but because like it's like the next day or like 2 days after, I wasn't going to have time to be able to do the prep work for the festival. So maybe next year we'll try it again. So anyway, so yeah, I've just been working on this cardigan. It's been moving pretty quickly. I think it's supposed to be about 14 inches from the hem to where you split for the underarm. So if that's the case, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So after I do the next stripe, not after I finish this stripe, but after I finish the next stripe, I'll be splitting for the armholes, which, I mean, that's pretty quick. And I'll just have to finish the back and then each of the fronts separately. I've been thinking about what has been going on this week. This week has been very weird. I've been kind of having an idea. I've really been wanting to get like a Switch 2 because I've been seeing all these amazing games that have been coming out Switch 2, and I haven't really been a console gamer in a long time. Like, I typically will buy handheld consoles like the Nintendo 3DS, or I have a Nintendo Switch. And I usually buy consoles when Animal Crossing comes out. And so that kind of keeps me on track. Like, I'm not buying the latest thing just like right when it comes out or anything like that. And I kind of control myself. I'm not the kind of person that buys a new console every single time like an upgrade comes out or an update or whatever. Like, I usually wait for like major like upgrades and whatnot. But I've been looking at possibly getting a Switch 2, or had been looking at getting a Switch 2. And I kept seeing people playing like Pokopia, which I've never been a huge Pokemon fan, but I don't mind Pokemon. It's fine. But I kept seeing people playing Pokopia, and I was starting to get tempted. And then I saw that Midnight Peaks released this week, and I started watching those videos, and I was like, yeah, I think that's what we are going to be playing. So I went out and bought a Switch 2 a couple days ago. Totally was not planning it, but I don't regret it. It is a really great system. It's much faster than the Switch. It has much better graphics. I can definitely tell it's pushing things forward. So I don't regret getting the Switch 2. I was kind of worried it was kind of like just a little upgrade over the Switch, but it's actually pretty good. So I went to Best Buy to buy it, and they have a package there where if you buy the Switch 2, you can get like a game bundled with it. And I think it saves you like $20 or $30. So that's what I got. And it was basically you could choose one of 3 games. Pokopia was one of the 3, and I forget which one the other 2 were. I think it was like a Super Mario game and a Donkey Kong game, I think were your choices. So I went with the Pokopia game, and I got that. And then as soon as I got home and set it up, I immediately went out and bought Moonlight Peaks, which is the other game I had really been looking at. And then I also bought another game called, I think it's called The Tiny Bookshop. And I've got some friends that have been playing that one, and they say really good things about it. So I grabbed that one as well. And then I have Animal Crossing New Horizons that I had on the Switch. It transferred over to the Switch 2. So everything was good to go there. So yeah, I started playing Pokopia, and it was really cute, and I like it. And I can definitely tell that like it could be very addictive. I didn't get that far into it. I got just a little ways into it. I think I got the first few Pokemon. I got like a Bulbasaur and a Squirtle and a Charmander and one other dude that I can't remember his name. Anyways, I got the first few Pokemon, and I got to the part where basically you find like an old trainer house, or like an old human house, I guess. And it's so cute because they can't use a PC. And so they're like, how do we use the PC? Can you figure out how to use it? And of course you can, which was nice. And so I got to that point, and started opening up, like unlocking some of the like, not like achievements, but like the different things that you collect and stuff like that. Like I can see what that all is. And so I was like, all right, that's cool. It's like, I want to try Moonlight Peaks. And let me tell you all, Moonlight Peaks is going to be like my new game for the foreseeable future, I think. It is so adorable. It is so cute. It is so addictive. Basically, at first, when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, so this is a goth Stardew Valley. So basically, you're playing as a vampire. And you are, there's several families within the area of Moonlight Peaks. There's like another vampire family. There is a werewolf family. And there's a witch family. And I think there's like a seer family as well. So I think there's like 4 different families that all live in Moonlight Peaks. And of course, none of them get along. They all hate each other. But so you log into Moonlight Peaks, and at first glance, it's like, okay, this plays like Stardew Valley. It looks like Stardew Valley. The map looks like Stardew Valley. Has the same, like, has a similar day-night cycle like Stardew Valley. But it has graphics more like Animal Crossing. Definitely more like, you know, current generation, like Switch 2 type graphics. What struck me about it, and I think one of the things that really drew me in, was the color palette. It's very like pinks, purples, blues, lilacs. It looks like, and if any of y'all know me, I am an old World of Warcraft player. I have played World of Warcraft for over 20 years. Since vanilla, I'm like one of those OG people. I love the Night Elves. And Stardew Valley has that Night Elf Teldrassil color palette that I love. Looks like Ashen Vale. It is the most gorgeous game. It's all like blues and purples and pinks. Beautiful graphics. Music on point. It's so perfect. It's beautiful. Creepy but beautiful at the same time. And so for me, that was a huge plus, because I was like, okay, I feel like I'm playing Stardew Valley in Ashen Vale, but like with a creepy twist. And so, yeah, I was playing that. And then on top of that, a lot of the systems, the game systems in Moonlight Peaks, are very much inspired by Animal Crossing. The fishing in Moonlight Peaks, very much like Animal Crossing. Very much like Animal Crossing. I was like, wow, this is so similar. When I logged in, because you wake up in your house, you're laying in a coffin like this, and you wake up, and there's a workbench in your house. And so I went over and looked at the workbench, and I could see all the different things that you can make. And there's a lot of things available starting out, but then there's a huge amount of collectibles that you can like collect the recipes for and make. Very much like Animal Crossing. I was like, wow, they basically took Stardew Valley and Animal Crossing and smashed them together, and then put like this gothy, night elfy sort of theme on top, and made just this absolutely gorgeous game. And normally, like, I've not really been like a huge Stardew Valley person, because traditionally I've always fought against the day-night cycles for some strange reason. Like, they rush me. I feel stressed because of them. I don't feel that in Moonlight Peaks for some reason. I don't know why. But I will tell you, like, it feels so relaxing. It just feels cozy and very calming when you're playing it. And there are a good amount, like, obviously, you know, there's certain things that you want to do each day. So, like, you know, tend to your farm, water your crops, doing that kind of thing, harvesting things or cutting down trees, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Obviously, there's things like that you need to do. But then there's a lot of like story quests that send you out into the town, and it'll help you get to know the townspeople. And those have been super, super fun. I've really enjoyed those. The last one I did last night was probably my favorite. And not going to give any spoilers as far as the story goes, but basically at the end of the story, at the end of the quest line, you gain the ability to shapeshift into a cat. Actually, into a hell kitten, which is a 3-eyed cat. Same difference. But you get the ability to shapeshift into a cat. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. I can shapeshift into a cat. So then I went outside and I shapeshifted into the cat. And I started running to, I think it was the Cave of Echoes, because I needed to get some copper. Y'all, I run so fast as a cat. Like, it's basically, if any of you ever played World of Warcraft and you played a druid, you know, like when you shapeshift into cat form, you run way faster. That's basically what this is. And it made me so happy, because that means that my chores are going to be so much faster now. And when I'm running around all around the world, which is really huge, it's really expansive. When I'm running all around the world, I can do so at a really good speed, which is nice. But yeah, I am like super happy. Not only do I have a cat, I have a hell kitten. You get a hill kitten anyway at the start of the game, and you get to name it whatever you want your cat to be called. So I named my cat, since the hill kitten is black, I named it after my black cat, my real life black cat. His name is Smudge. But yeah, now I can shapeshift into a little black cat that looks just like him. And so now Smudge and I can run around the farm, and I'll just be running around a whole lot faster, which is amazing. So I've never gotten super, super far in Stardew Valley because of the day-night cycle and because I always felt like I was rushed, but I can definitely tell that I'm going to be playing a lot of Moonlight Peaks. This is going to work for me much better than Stardew Valley ever did. All right, I'm at the end of this row, so I just want to make sure it should be 12 rows. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep. So I'm at the end of this. I call it like a gray and pink stripe because it's gray and pink going across. So I'm going to break the yarn. The way that these stripes are set up, you really can't carry the yarn like up the side. I mean, I guess you could, but I'm not going to, because I would have to skein up all the yarn and I would be managing like multiple balls of yarn, and that's not what I want to do. 2 is enough. 2 is my limit. I could do more. I just don't want to do more. All right, so we're going to start, put the gray over here for now. We're going to start back with the green. So I was just getting this first section started. This is a little tricky. And I'll tighten up those yarns at the end and it'll all look nice. I'm very pleased that I get to shapeshift into a cat in Moonlight Peaks. I don't guess it takes a whole lot to make me happy these days. I was not expecting it, but yeah, when I saw that, I was like, this is my game for sure. I really like the way that it works, or the way that they have set up a lot of the features within Moonlight Peaks. You can dig up there's like little random sparklies in the ground that you find, and I'm assuming there's a certain amount of them that spawn every day in the world, kind of like the little stars in the ground in Animal Crossing. So you can go around and dig those up, and sometimes it's money, sometimes it's recipes, sometimes it's different types of resources that you can get just from digging the little holes in the ground. The Cave of Echoes is where we're doing our mining right now, and I can mine copper at the moment. I still have yet to be able to mine gold or silver, and I'm assuming that comes as the game progresses. I still need to buy my barn from Ridge. I think money is going to be the biggest issue in this game. So I'm not really going to be in a hurry to try to get everything built up immediately or anything like that. Right now, I'm just trying to make cash via farming and resource gathering and whatever else I can find. Food seems expensive. Like if you buy the ready-made food, like from the restaurants, it seems a little pricey. And normally that's how you would get more power. But I have been kind of not buying food because I would rather conserve my cash on hand at the moment. I think yesterday I did get a cupcake or something like that because like I needed to get like some copper or copper bars or something. So I just was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. But anyways, But I think once I get my farm really rolling and I'm actually able to cook on my own, I think that will get easier as far as power goes. And also as you upgrade your tools, because you start out with like rusty tools, but then you can upgrade to copper, silver, and gold tools, all of which I'm assuming are either faster or take less energy or both. So once I start upgrading those, I think that'll help with the power conservation as well. And can we talk about the characters? There are some really, really cool characters in Moonlight Peaks. My favorite right now is Ridge. He's the town builder, I guess. He runs like the building store, hardware store, whatnot. Love Ridge. He seems like such a cool guy, such a nice guy, like just normal. He looks like a lumberjack. He's cute. He's probably the one that I will end up romancing. So, which I haven't really done that in a game. Well, I think the last time I romanced a character in a game was probably Star Wars: The Old Republic, because they had NPCs you could romance in that game. But I never really got into that in Stardew Valley, but I probably will do it in Moonlight Peaks. I really like Ridge. He's really cute. And then there's also kind of like an emo dude. His name, I think, is Evan. He's like one of the vampires. He's kind of cute too, in kind of like an emo way. So he might be a possibility at some point. But most of the other guys are kind of irritating, kind of annoying, in my personal opinion. The guys really are not that great. The girls in Moonlight Valley or Moonlight Peaks are amazing. They are so beautiful, so cute, so sexy. I was like, yeah, may have to go that direction at some point in time. There is a girl named Saga who is a werewolf. She's fantastic. A girl named Sabrina who is a witch. Sabrina, the witch. Yeah. She's fantastic as well. I'm trying to think if there's some others. Mina is one of the vampires. She's cute. She's really cute more than anything. She's kind of adorable. And then there's a bunch of characters in the Seers. They're a little more mysterious, but they're really cool too. Like I said, most of the guys are annoying. There's like one guy named, I think his name's Noel, something like that. He's like really egotistical and irritating. And yeah, I was like, no, absolutely not. And then like the main vampire guy, like from the Ambrosia family, he's like a drunk. And I'm like, yeah, no. The mayor of the town is an asshole. I was like, yeah, no. I'm like, this game, like literally you have two, maybe three decent male characters, and the rest are kind of like, eh. Oh, actually, I did forget the bartender, Samael. He's really cute. He might be a possibility. I don't know if he's romanceable or not, but he's cute. All right, so we got to the end of the green stripes. We need to reattach the gray. This is a method of striping. I haven't done this before. It's in Tarja. And I've always heard of it. I've never actually tried it. But basically every time you get to where the colors change, you bring up the next color like from underneath, and it basically interlocks the yarns as you go so that there's no holes or whatnot. And I really like it. It works out really nicely. Now there will be a little hole here because I'm starting new colors, but after I go take 2 or 3 passes back and forth, I can go back and like tie these ends from where I just started the new colors, and the hole will close right back up. So anyways, yeah, Moonlight Peaks, I'm a huge fan. They have some really great like I said, they have some really great story beats. I was doing one story quest last night, and again, don't want to give anything away, but basically one of the Where does that character fit in? He's one of the werewolves. He's like this little punk werewolf. Like a young, he's not a young boy. He's like a teenage boy werewolf that is a little punk. And apparently he took something he shouldn't have. And that thing disappeared in a way that it shouldn't have. And people were like, why did you take it over to this person? And they were like, oh, well, I had to go buy some green flowers from them. And they were like, seriously, you're buying green flowers again? Really? And he's like, but they relieve my stress. And I was like, okay. All right. I got you. I'm like, this game is so cute. And like, it definitely made, like, what I like about it is like, it's definitely like kids could play it. But there's definitely, like, they definitely take some little hints at certain things that make those of us who are older kind of be like, we see what's going on. So yeah, it's so cute. And then I also was playing Tiny Bookshop. I did decide to go ahead and try that out. That game so far is really, 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 really slow. So slow. I like the premise. I like the idea. And maybe if it's a situation where like I really needed to like calm down and just like wanted like a total sleepy day or something, I would probably consider playing that. I don't know that it's going to be a regular thing that I play though. It just seems like it's a little too slow for me. I like something that has a little bit of get up and go to it. It's a little bit interesting, you know? So, yeah, and I actually haven't gotten back into Pocopia since that first night, and I will at some point. I know I'll play it again at some point. All my attention right now is on Moonlight Peaks, and I tend to do that. Like I'm not really a huge like cross gamer. I tend to get into like find one game that I really really love, and I hyper focus on that one game. And so chances are I will be playing Moonlight Peaks for a good while before I jump back into Pocopia or the Tiny Bookshop. But that's not a bad thing. That's just kind of the way I prefer to game. I get really, really into like one thing. And I think that's just because, you know, I've been a PC gamer for so long. I haven't really done a whole lot of consoles other than some of the handhelds. And so, and particularly, I'm an MMO player, an MMORPG player. So I have played MMORPGs for like 20 years. And with those, you really don't hop around that much. I mean, some people do. Some people do, and they're absolutely capable of it. I cannot. I would much rather just dive really, really deep into one MMORPG and stay there for like a year or 2 years or 20 years. So yeah, I don't know that I'm just not set up to like bounce between games as much. You know, maybe if I have like one game on PC and one game on a console, like on a handheld, I can do that. But yeah, I probably will be finishing Moonlight Peaks before I jump back into Pocopia, I would imagine. But you never know. You never know. All right, so this stripe, I've got each of these stripes is 12 rows. So I got to do 12 rows of this striping pattern, and then I will be ready to split for the underarms. I'll split this into front and back. Yeah, I'm hoping this knit goes by fairly quickly. Like I've mentioned before, I've got 3 sweaters that I want to try to get done this year. or before the end of the year, because I am going to Scotland next year in April, and I want to have some sweaters to take with me because it's going to be cold. Um, so I'm really trying to focus on like this sweater, and one of the other sweaters that I'm planning on making are both fairly, I don't want to say thick sweaters, but they're worked at a larger gauge. They're like worsted or DK weight yarn. Um, and then the other sweater that I want to do is fingering weight yarn, but it's cropped and long sleeved. So I'm hoping that because it's a cropped sweater, it won't take so long. It's only going to be like 4, maybe 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn. So hopefully that'll be doable. I might have that be the last one that I cast on because it may take longer overall. I also really like with this particular pattern, she has us because you basically you knit a row, and then because you're knitting flat, you purl the next row so that you are doing a stockinette stitch. She has you start the edge of every purl row with a knit stitch so that you basically have a garter stitch edge. I'm assuming that will help make things easier when you pick up stitches or sew on the button band, because there will be a button band on this sweater. So I'm assuming that that will make things a little bit easier for that, but I do like it. I think it has a double knit button band, and I want to say, I have to look at the pattern again. I want to say that you sew the button band on, like you knit it and then you sew it on separately rather than picking up stitches along the edge of the sweater and knitting the button band. And a double knit button band will be something new for me. It'll be a new skill, so I'm looking forward to trying it. I like to pick patterns that always have like something new that I haven't done before, just to kind of, so I can learn. Build on my skills. So yeah, this will be a cropped sweater. Typically, so I'm 5'7", 5'8" or so I'm fairly tall. Most knitwear is usually made for like a more average height person. So for women, typically that's around 5'5" or so. So usually I end up adding 2 to 3 inches to the length of all my sweaters so that they hit the appropriate length for me. However, this particular sweater, I want it to have kind of a more cropped feel or cropped look because I'm planning to put it over dresses. And so for me, like to put over a dress like a cropped sweater or cropped cardigan just works better. I think it's cuter that way. So I'm just making it as is. And it's a pretty cropped design anyway, so you can't really tell it from. So it's interesting. The pattern actually gave us that the outline of the sweater that's up in the corner there. That's the design that the pattern maker gave us. However, it doesn't really show. It doesn't really convey how cropped the pattern actually is. Let's go back to the pattern photo. That is a very cropped cardigan. As you can see, like where the end of the sweater is, and compare that to the length of the sleeves, that's a very cropped cardigan. So yeah, I think that'll work out great for what I need for my purposes. I'll need to get some buttons as well. I don't know what I'm going to do for buttons on this sweater. I guess the easy thing to do would be just some either gray, dark gray, or black buttons. I could try to find some buttons that match the pink or the green, or that match both. But I don't know that I want to go quite that direction. What I would love to try to find are some like chunky, like plastic acrylic buttons of some sort. But I don't know. I haven't decided. What I might do, we do have a Fiber Festival coming up locally in September, so I may hold off on the buttons. I can go ahead and do everything else. I may hold off on deciding on the buttons until the Fiber Festival, because usually they have button people, button vendors, or usually the vendors will be selling buttons at some of the stands. So maybe I just go there and see if I can find some buttons that would work. Maybe I could just take this sweater and then I can just match, hold the buttons up and match and see how they would look. So something along those lines. Like, I don't know that I would ever actually button the cardigan. I might. But usually with something like this, I would just let it hang open for the most part. Yeah, a friend of mine kind of got me on a kick of starting to buy more natural clothing in natural fibers. So I bought a merino wool dress the other day, and it's interesting because it's basically a short sleeveless dress, and it's something that you could easily layer cardigans over if it were cold. And you think, okay, it's a wool dress, it's going to be made for when it's cold, and you're right, it would be warm when it's cold. However, a lot of people, my friend included, wear these dresses year round, like even in the summertime, even though they're made of merino wool, because wool is breathable. I don't know that I have the courage to do that just yet, because I typically run really warm. But I don't know. I might try it. Wool X is the brand of dress that I bought, and they have a thing where if you buy a dress from them at like regular price or on sale, but just not on clearance, if you buy a dress from them and then you wear it for 100 days in a row, and you take photos of those 100 days, you take a photo every single day, they will send you a gift card for $100 that you can then spend on buying another dress. And so I'm very seriously considering doing that, but I am probably going to wait until it gets a little bit cooler. Maybe after my trip out to the West Coast, I'll probably do it sometime this fall and try it. But so I got this dress, and it's basically just, like I said, short sleeveless, kind of charcoal gray dress. I'm definitely thinking this cardigan would go with that I can throw over top. But I would definitely plan on having other sweaters that I can layer as well. All right, so here's where the intarsia happens. You can see it because I'm on a purl row. So I ended with this gray yarn. So that's the end of the stripe. So now we're switching over to the green, but instead of just starting with the green and knitting, you actually go underneath this gray yarn and you purl it. And what that does is it catches this gray yarn into itself, into the stitch, and it basically holds the green and the gray yarn, the green and the gray yarn together so that there's no holes as you go across. It's hard to tell so much when you're like on the knit side, but on the purl side, you can definitely kind of see what's going on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do. I don't usually knot my yarn, but for like situations like this, I will do like a little overhand sort of knot just to kind of pull things tight properly. Keeps things from flopping around. So yeah, this weekend's a fun weekend. Like I said, I'm getting some knitting time in this afternoon. After I finish the stream, I'm actually trying a new recipe out. I have a pool party that I'm going to in a couple weeks. And it's it's a potluck pool party. So it's a pool party, but you got to bring some food. They are providing hot dogs and hamburgers, but they're asking other folks to bring like sides and desserts and things like that. And so y'all, it's very hot here. Yeah, it's like in the 90s, and I'm sitting here like, what do I want to take to a potluck? It's basically going to be poolside. It's going to sit out in the heat or whatnot. What would be good? And I like taking desserts. Usually dessert is my thing because I'm so sweet. It's because I enjoy cooking that kind of stuff. So last week, a friend of mine, or was it last week? 2 weeks ago, a friend of mine brought a dish to one of our normal like Sunday night dinners, and it's an Indian dish. It's like an Indian sweet carrot dessert. I forget what it's called. It's like I'll call. Hold on, I'll tell you. I don't want to get this wrong. Do do do. It's called carrot halwa. Yeah, gajar ka halwa, I guess. But basically, it's like grated sweet carrots that are cooked in a very sweet syrup that is made with sugar and cardamom and ghee. And so it was delicious. It was absolutely fantastic. And like, I don't want to say it tastes like carrot cake, but it's similar in a way to carrot cake. But anyways, it was delicious. And so I was like, can you get me the recipe? And he gave me the recipe. So when I was at the grocery store a little bit earlier today, I got all the ingredients. And so after I finish the stream today, I am planning on going out and trying to try my hand at this recipe because I want to make sure that I can make it and make it properly before I take it before I take it to a potluck. Give me 1 second here. Do, do, do. There we go. Okay. Um so yeah, I'll be trying that. I got some cardamom powder, which I haven't done a whole lot of cooking with cardamom before, so that's new for me. Um and basically it looks really simple. I've got like 3 pounds of carrots to grate. So it's a whole lot of carrots that I'm gonna be grating or grating up in the food processor or something like that. And then you just make like a simple syrup kind of out of cardamom and sugar and ghee. And you can actually do it in the Instapot, which I plan on doing to help speed things up. And that way it'll also kind of pressure cook the carrots and make them really tender and, not, it'll improve the texture. But it'll say it that way. But it sounds really, really good. And then optional are nuts, which I'm not planning on putting nuts in right now because I know a lot of times people have issues with nuts or allergies to nuts. And I don't know if people who are going to be at the pool party will have sensitivities to nuts, so I probably won't put those in. And you can also put raisins in, but I can't stand raisins. They are disgusting. Raisins are like little wrinkled sacks of goo, and I'm like, yeah, no, I do not ever want that in my food, ever. So it's just gonna be carrots and syrup, and it'll be fine. But I'm very excited about making it because like I said, it was delicious last time. It was not at all what I think of when I think of dessert, but it was so good. And other than that, I don't really know any other plans for this weekend. At least not right now. I'm sure I'll be playing some more. I'm sure I'll get some more knitting in. I'm sure I'll be playing games, and that's pretty much my weekend this week. And I do have a family. It's not a family dinner; it's friend dinner tomorrow. We always do it every Sunday night, so I do have that, and I will be taking sub sandwiches for that. So that sounds really delicious. We all kind of alternate as far as who gets the entree, who does the entree, who does the dessert, who does the sides. So this week, actually next week is supposed to be, I can't talk. Next week is supposed to be my entree week. However, I will be out of town. So I swapped with somebody and I'm doing the entree this week. That way, whoever gets dessert next week or whatnot, it's not as big of a deal as like trying to do the entree. I didn't want to be out on a week that I had to do the entree. All right, got the end of that row. Flip it over. See, I had been considering another reason I got the Switch 2 is I'd really been craving wanting to start a game of some sort. And like I said, I've always been more of a PC player than a console player. My typical MO, my typical thing that I would do is I would go log back into World of Warcraft. However, I am at an interesting sort of crossroads with World of Warcraft, I guess. I'm not really a fan of retail anymore, and I wish I was. I'm still interested in the story of World of Warcraft and like where they take it. But as far as like how it plays and how they design the world and just how retail plays right now, I'm just not a fan. I don't like the whole seasonal thing. I don't like having like weekly and daily chores that I have to do, like that I feel like I have to do in order to keep up with progression. We'll put it that way. It feels very gamey to me. And I know that sounds crazy because you're like, Stacy, Moxie, it is a game. Of course it's going to feel gamey. No, that's not what I'm talking about. When World of Warcraft first launched back in the day, it really felt more like a world. In my opinion, they really spent a lot of time on the world and on the storytelling. And quests would send you all over the map. And there were it was very imperfect. It was very convoluted at times, but it felt very much like a world. You didn't really have like, you weren't queuing for dungeons necessarily. Now, did you have to find people to run dungeons with? Yes, you did. But you weren't queuing for dungeons. You weren't, queuing into delves. You weren't queuing for this, that, and the other. I guess you did queue for PvP sometimes, but overall, it didn't feel so much gamey as much as it felt like a world that you were playing through. And I really enjoyed that. And I kind of felt like it had that feeling in Classic and in Burning Legion and in Wrath. I feel like it's when it really started to kind of feel different. Cataclysm totally felt different, in my personal opinion. So, me now looking at retail, 20 years on, it's not really a style that I enjoy playing. I did play Midnight when it launched. I got through like the major quest lines and stuff like that, but I haven't been back since. And it's mostly because, I like to see the new zones. I like to see the new world. I like to do, the world exploration. But beyond that, like if you're asking me to log in and do my chores every week, do my delves every week, do, whatever it is, I just like, not interested. At that point, it becomes less of a world and is more of just, it feels like a lobby game to me. I'm not saying it's everybody's experience. It's just to me. So, I actually was considering logging back into World of Warcraft Classic because I do enjoy that. However, I've played that a lot in the past. And so I was kind of wanting something new. And I'm really, really hoping that Blizzard announces, I guess, whatever they would consider their Warcraft Classic Plus to be. So basically taking Classic and then adding some stuff to it, maybe adding certain zones that should have been in the world at launch, like at vanilla launch, but that weren't, like Grumbatal and things like that. I would love to see what they do with that, trying to expand upon Classic in a way that stays true to the original vision. If they can do that, I think that would be amazing. And I would absolutely play that. I will be first in line to play that. So, but until they announce that, or until we find out what exactly they have planned for the World of Warcraft, I'm not really motivated to log in at the moment. So that kind of left me looking at other options. Guild Wars 2 was an option. I've played that before. Guild Wars 3 is currently in the works, or in development, and I would definitely be interested in playing that when it comes out. But I don't know. I was thinking about Guild Wars 2, and I hadn't logged in. I couldn't actually like make that jump. So, I was looking at other games and whatnot, and it's just as soon as I saw people playing Pocopia, and really I think it was Moonlight Peaks that did it for me. I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do. This is going to be my gaming for the next little while. Now, once Guild Wars 2 announces, I'm fairly certain, I've seen rumors. I don't know if they've officially announced it yet or not, but I have seen rumors that they are going to bring back the Hall of Monuments for Guild Wars 2. So basically, and what that was, if you weren't around back then, when Guild Wars 1 was out and they were getting ready to release Guild Wars 2, they wanted to reward the players that had been playing Guild Wars 1 for so long. So they created this feature called Hall of Monuments. And basically, if you accomplished certain things in Guild Wars 1, it would then give you skins and titles and items and things like that in Guild Wars 2. And I played a little bit of Guild Wars 1, but I never really got super into it. But I do remember looking at the Hall of Monument stuff in Guild Wars 2 and thinking that's really, really cool. So I think once they announce Hall of Monuments from Guild Wars 2 to Guild Wars 3, and they announce exactly what achievements and what things you need to do in Guild Wars 2 to get stuff in Guild Wars 3, at that point, I'll probably log back into Guild Wars 2 so that I can fill up the Hall of Monuments. But until then, I kind of am just like, nah, not right now. I need motivation to log in. I also actually briefly considered Lord of the Rings Online, because it is another all-time favorite MMORPG for me. And I know that they've um, released new areas that I have not seen. It's been out forever as well. I can't remember if it's been out for 20 years. It's been close to 20. It's probably close to 20-year-old game if it's not yet already. At this point, it's probably close because I want to say it launched. What was their launch date? Let's look it up and see, kids. Lord of the Rings Online launch date. I want to say it was like 2007. Yes, so it released in April of 2007. So next year, next April, it will be 20 years old as well. And if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, if you love Tolkien, that is the single most faithful game, like faithful to Tolkien and faithful to Middle Earth, that you could probably ever play. They have done such an amazing job working with the Tolkien estate to keep that game in the spirit of what was intended by the books. And so it's a really good game. Again, if you're like a huge raider or whatnot, it's probably not for you. They do have like raids and group content and things like that, but most of the people that play Lord of the Rings Online are just huge Tolkien nerds. And they're in it to play through the world content and collect like all the different gear, and you can color your gear however you want it. They have an amazing music system in the game, so you can play different instruments and you can play songs of your choice. There's a whole like system. It's like, I think they call it like an ABC system or something like that. But you can like create music files and like upload them, or you play them straight from your computer, like in the game. And so you can play like all kinds of music. And there are people in Lord of the Rings Online who their main thing is creating music files for themselves and for other players. And a lot of times these music files will have multiple parts. Like I've seen some of these music files have up to like 10 different parts. And so you'll have like one or two lutes, and you'll have a bass. I think they call it like a theobro or something like that. And then you'll have like one or two drum players, and you'll have a flutist, and like all these different instruments. And it's like literal, like it's like a symphony almost. It's really cool. And then every year, and I'm assuming this still happens, I know it was happening when I was playing, they have a big event called Weatherstock, and basically it's like Woodstock but up at the top of Weathertop, the mountain. And they have all these different like player created bands that get together for like 2 days straight, and they all take turns like playing music. Like each band gets like a certain slot, like an hour slot or something, and they can play all their different music and stuff. And it's fun, and people sell food, and they sell flowers and all that kind of thing. And it's a really fun, like player driven event to participate in. I've participated as both a viewer and as a band member, so in the past. So it's a lot of fun. But the game is 20 years old, and it's kind of starting to show its age in some ways. But I will say that like once you actually start playing it, like when you first look at screenshots, you're like, eh. But once you actually start playing it, it kind of grows on you. Put it that way. But like if you've ever wanted to explore the Mines of Moria. My mind blanked out. I'm like, what is the big dwarf place? If you've ever wanted to explore the Mines of Moria, if you've ever wanted to see the Balrog, if you've ever wanted to explore a lot of the lands that have never actually been shown in some of the films, but have been described in the books, If you've ever wanted to see what Rohan, like really like experience what Rohan was like, definitely a really good way to go. As long as you're okay with older games. And it actually does still have a pretty good player base too. All right, back we go. So yeah, I was just like looking at all my different options. Another favorite game of mine, it's not an MMO, but Oxygen Not Included. Love that game. Absolutely love it. Um, but it definitely requires kind of a mental, you have to be in like the right mental place for it, or at least I do, because like it's a lot of machine building and thinking about chemicals and physics and that sort of thing. And like I just haven't been in that kind of headspace to do that. I love the game. I think it's adorable. I think it's cute as can be. And I am always in awe of people that play Oxygen Not Included, and they have these huge worlds, these huge builds that are just full of like all kinds of machines and like conveyors and technology. And I'm just like, they've been playing them for like, I don't know, 2 years or whatever it is. I'm just like, how did you keep those dudes? How did you keep your people alive that long? Oh my gosh. I usually get a decent ways in and then all my people die. They either freeze out or they overheat or something, and like, I don't know, germs start spreading everywhere. They all get sick. It goes wrong very, very badly. But I love the first stages of the game. Like the first few hours are so much fun, and then after a certain point it's just like, oh gosh, these people are going to die. I can't keep them alive. And yes, I know I knit weird. uh I knit with right-handed, which well, most people hold the yarn in their left hand, and I don't. I'm a thrower. I don't know why that is. I tried actually when I was learning how to knit, I tried both. I didn't have somebody teaching me how to knit. I learned taught myself how to knit from a book that came out a long time ago called Stitch and Bitch, and it showed both ways of knitting, like in diagram form. And so I like read both of the descriptions, and I was like, all right, well, I'll try both. And it very specifically said try both. They were like, but if you're right-handed, they were like, the traditional way is by holding the yarn in your left hand. They're like, however, some people, especially if you're right-handed, may prefer holding the yarn in your left hand or your right hand. So I tried both, and it just so happened to be that this way is the way that seemed to make more sense to my weird brain, I guess. And it just worked. So um I know it looks weird, but it works. I also crochet similarly for that reason. I learned how to knit before I ever learned how to crochet, which is also very unusual. Most people start with crochet and then move over to knitting, but I went backwards. So I guess because I knit holding the yarn in my right hand, then when I moved over to crochet, it just seemed to make sense to do things similarly there. So I don't know. It works. It works for me. So I will tell you, my husband got me a sewing machine as an early birthday present. Well, it's my birthday present, but it just arrived this week. I have not yet unpacked it. I'm pretty excited about it. I had a sewing machine, or I have another sewing machine, but it's like a plastic, kind of like a plasticky model. And I wanted something that was a little heavier duty and a little nicer, because I would like to get back into sewing again. It's been a while. And I mostly use my current sewing machine or my older sewing machine just for like repairs and things. Like if I need to like do some alterations, like I can do quick alterations on it. You know, it's not a huge deal, but for actually like sewing dresses and pants and things like that, I wanted something that was going to be a little more heavy duty, something that was made of metal, something that had some more options on it. So yeah, he got me this really nice sewing machine. It's black, which I like. And yeah, I'm looking forward to opening that one up. I may wait until construction is done in our basement and I get my new office set up, because like I don't want to like unpack it and then have to like just pack it right back up and take it downstairs and everything. So if I'm not planning on actually making anything or actually sewing anything until like in the next few weeks, there's no reason to unpack it. So, but I'm excited about it. I have some fabric that I bought earlier this year that is sitting over here in a shelf, just waiting for me to do something with it. And I already know what I'm going to make with it. I'm kind of waiting for the construction downstairs to be done. And then I can do it downstairs in my studio where I have more room. I'm going to get like a cutting table, like an actual like craft cutting table or whatnot that folds down but has like huge leaves. So basically it's on rollers, and then it has two huge leaves that fold down so it'll fit into like a very narrow space when it's put away. So I can roll it into the closet. But then when you pull it out and you set up the leaves, like it just makes like a huge cutting board area. So I definitely need that to be able to lay out the pattern and get everything ready to cut and go. Because I really don't have a place currently in the house. I mean, I guess I could use my dining room table, but even it's not like that big because it's just my husband and I. So we never got like one of those huge, massive dining room tables. So yeah, I think I'm going to wait until we get our construction finished downstairs and I get moved into my office down there and get my stuff set up, and then I can pull out the fabric and the sewing machine and actually start sewing again in the middle of gaming and in the middle of knitting. And I've got some crochet stuff I want to do, and I've got wool I've got to spin. Like I am just like all over the place these days. I need to clone myself so that I have time to do all the things I want to do. Sad. I've been watching all of these people like doing Tour de Fleece, because that's going on right now, and I've been watching all these people on Threads, and they're spinning up just absolutely gorgeous yarn during this time. And of course, I am still learning how to spin. My yarn was not that pretty. But I did finish it, and I am looking forward to spinning some more. I just wanted to work on this cardigan instead of doing a lot of spinning right now. I have, though, been looking at some really pretty fiber. Like Hedgehog Fibers has got some absolutely gorgeous fiber that I would definitely be interested in getting to spin up. Crescent Moon Fibers also has some absolutely gorgeous yarn. It's like merino wool that has like little viscose neps in it. They're really pretty. But I don't think they do online sales. I want to say they only do festivals. So I would have to find like a festival or something like that they're going to actually be at to get their fiber. But I've also been watching videos like on how to spin fractal yarns, which now like I've got it in my head that I desperately need to spin a fractal. Oh, I think I need a little more practice before I try that though, because I know you have to be able to spin across. You have to be able to spin across a piece of fiber, and I'm still not quite there yet. I could probably do it, but it wouldn't be pretty. I'd rather be able to do it consistently before I start trying to make a fiber in that form or in that format, I guess. But I do have some really pretty fiber that I bought a few weeks ago, maybe a month or two back now at this point. Um, there is a vendor I think she's in New Jersey. Her name's Kirsty Cat. That's what she goes by. But she usually travels to pretty much all of the festivals that are in our area. She sells hand-dyed wool and hand-dyed yarn. So I've used her yarn before. This time when I saw her couple months ago, she had wool, dyed wool. And so I bought 4 or 5 4-ounce pieces of hand-dyed wool from her. So I'm really looking forward to getting that spun up as well. I don't know what I'll do with it yet. But before I actually start spinning that, I do have some really nice Jacob wool that I want to work with. It's just like a very natural, like white, gray, black blend that will make a really nice yarn that I'm sure I can use for something. It kind of works with my normal palette. uh, so I want to get that spun up first because it's not exactly hand dyed, it's just raw wool. And I think it'll be a really good practice project. And then we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it looks in the end and if I feel up to moving on to the hand dyed stuff because it's usually a little more expensive. So I'm trying to start with like less expensive pieces and then to practice on and then move up as I get better. And I'm sure I'll have fiber that I'll want to buy at the festival in September too. So that'll be fun. I think based upon the way these stripes are going to go, I believe that I'm going to be using more of the pink than I am the green for this cardigan. Simply because if you look at the stripe pattern, once I get to the end of this green and gray stripe up here, that's when we're going to split for the armhole. But as you can see in that particular space of yarn, like you're going to have more pink than green, I think. Well, actually, no, it'll be about even. But at some point you're going to stop. And I feel like wherever you stop, you're probably going to end up having more of the pink than the green just because you start with the pink down here. I could be wrong. But I feel like the pink is going to be the more dominant color compared to the green. And I'm actually okay with that. Number one, because pink is my favorite color. Number two, because this green is such an acidic, limey, chartreusey sort of green. I'm okay with it taking like it's very bright like compared to the other two, so I'm okay with it taking a little bit less space in the total composition, so to speak. I think that'll be fine. But I do really like this color, and normally like this chartreusey green is not a color I would typically wear. Like it's not a color I would put next to my face typically. It's just not. If you subscribe to color, like the whole like seasonal color theory, I am a summer. I am like the most summer to have ever summered. Because I've got very pale skin, very blue eyes. My hair is brown. I mean, it's blonde, but it's brown. But I'm a very like cool tone person. So typically I wear like jewel tones. I wear lots of blues, purples, pinks. I do wear black, but that's a personal choice. Not because it looks good, but because it's a personal choice. But yeah, typically this is not a color I would wear next to my face. But in a sweater, a cardigan like this, where it's just like an accent color and it's not like directly next to my face, I think it's kind of a cool way to do it. Like a cool way to incorporate this color into my wardrobe. Because I do like it. I think it's fun. And I was at a yarn store. It was probably a month or so back, maybe a little bit longer. I was at a yarn store up in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, and it was called High Tide Fiber. Gorgeous yarn store, really sweet people, loved it. They had the same yarn there, but in different colors. They actually didn't have any of these three colors, but they had some other colorways, and they had this really beautiful, like deep, more jewel tone green, kind of more in the lines of like this sort of range. And I, for very briefly, considered getting 2 skeins of that to replace the lime green. However, I was like, number one, I don't want to spend the money. Number two, I was concerned because like it was a deeper green, and I was thinking it wouldn't have the contrast with the gray that the chartreuse has. And I feel like it really needed that contrast to look right. The pink and the gray contrast really well, but I feel like that the darker, like this, actually it's further down, it's like this kind of green, I feel like it would not have contrasted as much, and it would have made the pink stand out like a lot. Like I feel like it would have been off balance. Even though I like the pink and I like that darker green and like this color pink together individually. Like that's really pretty. Like if you look at the pink and then these kinds of greens. Individually I like it, but I just don't feel like it would have looked correct in the stripes. And I'm kind of going through a similar dilemma right now. I have some yarn that I got at a festival last year. It was on sale. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gotten it, but it was on sale. And I have 1 skein of 5 different colors. 1 skein each of 5 different colors. Actually, I have 6 different colors, but like one of the colors is like a really deep magenta. One of the colors is a pink similar to this, and the other one's like a really deep magenta. And I'm like, those 2 colors are too similar. Like I'm gonna have to either use the pink or the magenta. I can't use both in whatever project I make with it. So my idea is to make a striped pullover sweater. Not exactly like this one, but still just a striped pullover sweater. But I need a base color to go with these colors. So I've got like a green, I've got a gold, I've got a blue, I've got a red, I've got the pink, and I've got the magenta. And then I need like a base color. But the problem is trying to find a base color that will like if you look at all of those skeins together, it's a beautiful, almost fall-like colorway. But trying to find a base color that will all of those colors will actually contrast with is going to be a little bit of a trick. I'm leaning towards just getting like a black yarn and just letting those all contrast against the black, or if I can find the right kind of like medium taupey brown that like would look good with my skin tone. It had to be a very, 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 very cool like brown, but it might be that could possibly work. But sometimes it's just trying to find the colors that will actually sing together. And a lot of times the colors that you're drawn to are not necessarily colors that will sing together. Like you have to sometimes you just have to throw in colors that maybe you're not that crazy about to make it actually work. And that's the hard part. So I think I've decided going forward, I will probably be streaming on Monday nights, because Mondays are usually pretty good for me. Mondays are always semi hectic, but Mondays are usually okay because I'm pretty fresh from the week still. And then I probably will be streaming on a weekend, probably for the most part Saturdays. I won't be streaming next Saturday, but I'll probably be doing like a weekend day and then like a Monday nights going forward. Like twice a week sounds pretty good for me at the moment. And then we'll relook at things as things, go, see how it goes. As things move along, things may change. But twice a week sounds about right for now. I'm really looking forward to making that carrot dish I mentioned earlier. Like as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, oh, I'm starting to crave it. So I'm like, that sounds so good. The hilarious thing is I'm not normally a fan of carrots. I'll eat them. They're fine, but they're not normally my first choice. But as a dessert, they're delicious. I think I am probably going to call it right here so that I can go start grating carrots and start making this dish. Like I said, I want to try to get this to get it made now so that I can adjust the recipe if needed and make sure everything works correctly before the potluck. And I won't be around next weekend, so basically it's this weekend to get this thing done and make sure everything is good. So I got some work done on this sweater today. Not a ton, but that's okay. Actually, no, I got about halfway through this stripe, so that's not terrible. So I can probably get the rest of the stripe done at some point, either later tonight or tomorrow or something along those lines. And then split for the armholes and the back. So probably like at the halfway point on this pink section, somewhere around here, we'll split this off for the armhole. Then this will become the front, and then this will become the back, and then you'll have like an opening for the armhole. And then basically what will end up happening is we will knit the front, this front piece individually. And then we'll do the same over here. We'll split this front and back. We'll split this in half, and this will be the front. And so we'll knit the rest of the front here individually. And then we'll knit the back, which will be basically this roughly. We'll knit that back piece up. And then once we get to the shoulders, then we basically graft those together using what's called a Kitchener stitch. And we'll connect the stripes or connect the shoulders. If I've done this correctly, if my math is right, what should happen at the shoulders is by the time we finish, we'll have about this much, about half of a stripe at each shoulder, both front and back, so that when you graft them together, it actually continues the stripe pattern smoothly. So it'll basically look like the stripes just flow like from your shoulder just straight over, without like interrupting the stripe pattern or anything like that. If my math is right, we'll see. But if my math is right, it'll look like that, and it'll look really smooth as you go over the shoulder. And then once you've got the front and back done, then all you have to do is finish the sleeves. So, and that shouldn't take that long because they're going to be much narrower than what we're working on right now. So yeah. Hopefully this will be a pretty quick knit, and we'll get it done maybe a couple more weeks or so, but we'll see. So I'm going to end it there. If you stopped by today, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I hope you join me next time, probably maybe Monday night. We'll see. So hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.